Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame, where we are going to be talking about what happens when men avoid women, or how does this go? Why is this allowed? Somebody do something about it.
Is it still allowed?
No. Well, the thing we're about to talk about? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. We'll get into it in just a second. And this was a request made by Great Indoors, and I thought it was. I would say that this is a much less infuriating than this normal request that we get. So that is cool with me.
Yeah. No, it's a little bit more lighthearted, a little more fun. We're gonna look at previous eras and how they dealt, well, the remains of previous eras and how they dealt with men who might not have been 6'5", works in finance, blue eyes, trust fund,
Yeah.
but also got them contributing to society and feeling like they had status and worth. In the past, those kinds of men usually were like the second or third son who wasn't going to inherit the property. But yeah, so we're talking about, that kind of thing, like what happens when men construct a society expressly for the intent of avoiding women and sexuality. And pretty soon you'll find out what that means if you haven't guessed already. And I just want to point out that we are doing our monthly fundraiser. I have put on the final goal, or maybe depending on how it goes, of just a bit more, because I need to cover some extra expenses that occurred during the meetup, which ended up being more expensive than I thought it would. Not too much. We could still cover it, but it would be nice to get that off my credit card. So if you want to help out, yeah, you know what I mean. If you want to help out, please go to feedthebadger.com/feedthebadger.com/support to make sure we can cover, everything that we try to do. Because I think meetups are really critical. It's one thing to have a YouTube channel, but I don't think that's going to solve the stuff that we're facing. We need to get people meeting face to face, getting those kind of relationships back together, especially men. And I've really pushed this idea of in-person meetups. It was a huge part of Honey Badger, the work that we did for years until the Koof Nation attacked. And again, I want to get back into it, but of course it's more expensive, and those expenses, they do take a chunk out of what we're able to continue to do here. So please go to feedthebadger.com/support, because we exist because you guys do that. You put that in your URL, you go there, you put in $5, $10, and it really helps. Right now we have, thanks to the Great Indoors who just sponsored this video for $500. So thank you. We have, let me just.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Come again.
Maybe we should get an extra one for that. Okay, so we have 8.
Oh, yeah, I can do another one for that. Wait.
You're the
oh,
problem.
No, this is wrong.
You're the fucking problem. You fucking doctor.
Sorry.
I'm telling you, H, you keep looking at me, I'm going to push you in the fucking ground.
I can make it up. I can make it up.
Oh, God damn, that's not what we're intending.
Okay. Sorry. No, some of the buttons, the files, never mind. It was supposed to be Trump saying thank you very much, but it was... Instead, I got Ben Kingsley flipping his shit. So
you need to relabel your buttons, dude. Okay.
No, it's just it's playing the wrong file. It's a mistake with the files. But anyway.
All right.
Go on.
All right. So we have $815 left on this goal. So please help out so that we can continue to do these meetups in the future. And I'm hoping to get more of them and get more people out to them. Because I think they're really critical. They're more critical for maintaining mental health than the entirety of the. Actually, I think we're doing more for men's mental health than the entirety of the American Psychological Association and all of its affiliates. Just us. Because we're not actively harming men, let's face it. All right, so If you have any questions, any comments about the content, then please send those to feedthebadger.com/justthetip, and we shall respond to your questions and comments. Very best way to send us a question, because you avoid YouTube censorship. Oops. You
Well,
avoid
you're not supposed to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. We get the full benefit of whatever funds you send. So there you go. Those are the two things to keep in mind, and let's get into it.
All right. So this video is brought to us by 60 Minutes, and it's called Athos, the Holy Mountain. And it's basically a little documentary about this place called Mount Athos, or Athos. And I play a little bit of the intro just so you guys can get like a sense of, you know, this theme. The video is only a half hour. I basically only like found a couple of moments that I thought were, you know, pretty interesting. And yeah, let's just watch.
Tonight for Christmas, we're going to take you to a place outside our world. It's not Mars or Venus, but it might as well be. It's a remote peninsula in northern Greece that millions believe to be the most sacred spot on Earth. It's called Mount Athos, and prayers have been offered here every day with no interruption for more than 1,000 years. It was set aside by ancient emperors to be the spiritual capital of Orthodox Christianity, and has probably changed less over the centuries than any other inhabited place on the planet. The monks come here from all over and do everything they can to keep what they call the world far away. Not so.
Oh, I thought that was. Yeah, okay, we'll play some more.
Surprisingly, journalists are not exactly welcome. For more than 2 years, we corresponded, negotiated, and frankly pleaded for an invitation, but ran into one monastic wall after another. Then, as we first told you last spring, much to our surprise and delight, the monks finally said, "Okay, come see who we are."
All right, so basically this is a documentary about a place called Mount Athos, which is a holy site, you could say. And it's become a home of monasteries and monks, Orthodox Christian monks. Orthodox Christianity, I think I talked a little bit about it. There was a fissure, shortly after the time of the Byzantine Empire, and you had like the Catholic West and the Orthodox East. And so the Catholic Church is considered an old church as well, but the Orthodox Church is considered the oldest church of Christendom, and at least, and they're extremely hardcore. The extremely hardcore, and so Mount Athos, just like I'll give you a brief description about it, is referred to as the Holy Mountain, is an important center of Eastern Orthodox monasticism, situated on a peninsula in Greece in the Halkidiki region. And so basically it's the I hope I'm not butchering this pronunciation, but the Halkidiki Peninsula, extending from the Aegean Sea. It is mountainous, with Mount Athos itself being the highest peak at about 2,000 meters. Mm-hmm. And it's in the Mediterranean. So this is like, and the thing about Mount Athos that's unique in this particular instance is women are not allowed there at all. No women allowed, period. Right? In Mount Athos. So I got a super monks. Yeah, the monks, yeah, they're pretty based. I got a super chow from Master Mo 316. He gives us $15. Thank you, Master Mo, and says some money for the you to keep up the good fight. Thank you.
Awesome.
So yeah, as you might have guessed, a lot of people don't know this, and I think it's pretty fascinating because of how unchanged this place is. That's the thing that's it. Like basically, we'll watch a bit more. And let me know if you're getting restless or bored. I can jump to the interesting bit, but that's way later in the story. So
the story will.
It's good to hear about something that's, of course, that was 9 years ago. So probably it's been forced to integrate, and now it's covered in like blue-haired.
Well, no. Mount Athos remains still pure. Yes. Untainted by the modern world. And journalists. Yeah. I mean, they don't even let journalists go there, you know? Yeah. The Great Indoors says, and this is true too. So the only woman allowed to go to Mount Athos is actually the Virgin Mary, which basically means no women can go, because she is considered essentially amongst Christians that look at the saints. She is the greatest of the saints. So that is what she's the only woman that can go there. But of course, she hasn't been there yet.
Bare minimum for a woman to go to the holy. I see why they call it the holy mountain, because that name is a little difficult, but it's the bare minimum. You have to be the Virgin Mary.
Yeah. You just gotta be the Virgin Mary, and then you can come. So
surprisingly,
let's see if you're on the list. Let's see if you're on the list. Oh, look, you're not.
The bare minimum probably is more reasonable than the average bare minimum of a Twitter thought. Oh God.
Yeah, that's right.
I besmirched this wholesomeness with my bullshit. Sorry, guys.
Did you get into a fight with a Twitter thought?
Yes, sorta, maybe. I guess.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. Apparently, my grammar is masculine and patriarchal and oppressive.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. let's listen to some more.
That's what I was working on.
Yeah, I figured.
It'll be fun. Look forward to that, guys. It's a new blow your mind moment, and it's chef's kiss. It's gonna be wonderful. Okay, it's gonna be the best. It's the best Twitter moments. I bring you the best Twitter moments. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going.
We'll continue in a moment.
All right, let me see.
This Byzantine cross marks the border between Mount Athos and the 21st century. The monks come here, as they always have, for the beauty, the tranquility, and the isolation. But most of all, for this. Father Iakovos is one of the few Americans on the mountain. He's been here more than half his life.
You have to understand the words that we're saying in today's liturgy are the same words that Christ was saying, the same words that saints from the 1st century, the 2nd century, the 3rd century, the 4th century.
And nothing has changed in Orthodoxy since then. It's the only branch of Christianity that can make that claim. Father Eliseos is the abbot, the top man, at Simonos Petros, one of the 20 monasteries. It was Abbot Eliseos who invited us here, and never let us forget what a rare privilege it was.
Can I just
Yeah.
When I look at these guys, it reminds me of the patriarchy account on Twitter, except in black, because he always has these patriarchs and these hats and long beards, usually drinking brandy and smoking cigars or just doing fun things. It just reminded me of that. So
the guys that in Catholicism, which a lot of people know, they have the top man, right? That's the Pope. But Orthodoxy doesn't have a Pope. So instead, they have patriarchs. So they literally have patriarchs. And of course, there's also it's essentially I think it's interesting because let's set aside the religious aspect of this. I get this sense that these guys are the sort of ancient Greek philosophers, right? They're literally still in Greece. It's a bunch of guys with beards. They're constantly in prayer. They're constantly, reading the Holy Gospel and talking about it and thinking about it. And so they're kind of they're obviously monastics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even most men of the modern world couldn't just go on this island. Like the bar is high.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just think of, I don't know, like what is wild is it is true that there are treasures on this island that are beyond like measure when it comes to what they're worth, and they won't let anyone, like, you can't even look at them, some of these things, and they're old, like they're like, you know, part of the 1st century. They're like ancient, like relics. And it's super interesting I'm saying, as if you're like interested in history, you know, like they were saying, and this is what I learned from my priest. He said that there's this concept called laying on hands, where you know, like everyone, how do I explain this? It's like when my priest gives me a blessing, he is basically laying hands on me, and someone laid hands on him, and someone laid hands on the guy who laid hands on him, and it goes all the way back to essentially the apostles. And that's the idea. So like it's like keeping you connected to the history of, you know, of this religion. And there is something about that's, you know, it's just really humbling, I guess. So
yeah, well, you're part of a chain, and then you lay hands.
Exactly. And the chain, it goes down generations. And the thing is too, is it makes me think about, like, when I heard about the laying on hands thing from my priest, and I started thinking about, because I was still, and I still am, like, very much, you know, interested in talking about the role fathers play. And I was thinking about things regarding that, the way that we think of it today. We don't value fatherhood, but more than that, we don't even, like, in a lot of cases, we don't even like understand how much it's had an effect on our society. So like when women, for example, will say, well, I'm not going to take my husband's name because I'm not his property or whatever it is, and so I'm going to keep my name. And I'm like, yeah, but your name is your father's name. Like you're like, they're like your mom or your grandma, somebody at some point, they were like, I'm going to take my man's name as my name. So you still have the name of a man. You're not actually fighting any system. You're just keeping your father's name instead. And it's still like a man's name. So, but more than that, I think about like how, like, you know, we talk about how fatherlessness affects people, and like what it, you know, how it has like behavioral consequences and cultural and social consequences. But there's also another thing, like if people are disconnected enough from their ancestry, then I think their sense of belonging in the world in the present time is also damaged by that. And that brings me back to this like laying on hands thing. I mean, the person like why do we call our priest father, for example? I think that there's something about that I'm, you know, I don't claim to be an expert, but I think that it's pretty interesting. So anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's that. I mean, like, I think that you're probably going to have a lot more insight into this than I will, because I'm just free floating here, not really attached to.
I think that because you studied Rome, and the Byzantine Empire came out of the fall of the Roman Empire. So there's definitely like connective tissue there,
half.
right?
Yeah.
The Western half, right.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, a lot of the traditions of all of this actually goes back to Rome, and
and you can see it in like the
Eastern.
whole, for sure.
I'm having a bad calf day.
Oh no, are you having a cramp? I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, well, not really a cramp, just like general discomfort, and of course I'm standing up because I don't want to strain my head, but
so these guys are very reclusive, but I think that, and you know, I still think that it's what a group of men who are committed to a cause, which is in this case preserving what they believe to be the true church, right? Preserving Christianity. So it could be anything. Like we could be watching a video about I don't know, like Buddhist monks in China that are because there's definitely like, Buddhist temples that are probably very, isolated, removed from civilization. I'm assuming that, Xi Jinping hasn't like sent people down there, because that's another thing too, is the Orthodox Church is it's under attack in parts of the world, like Ukraine, the Middle East. So these monks they're part of an effort to like preserve what they believe to be the true church. And so and what I say it speaks to is like what men are capable of doing when they are working together in fellowship and in common purpose. So try to think of it that way if you're, if you think that I'm trying to make the case for Sky Daddy or something. So
okay, well, yeah, I mean, yes, there's important cultural traditions. There's the respect for masculinity and masculine fraternity and cooperation. There's respect for masculine spirituality. There's an understanding that there should be places where women shouldn't be, which is something that we really struggle with today. And really struggle with. And really, you have to ask yourself, why is it that these monks are doing this? Why are they doing it? And why is it that they exclude women? Why? Except for one, the Virgin Mary, of course.
Yeah, she's okay.
Is it just because they hate women?
No, of course not.
Because there's an actual purpose to all of this. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
There is. Well, okay, let's play some more of this.
It happened once in 1981.
The last time you invited a television crew here was 1981.
Correct. We weren't going to invite you, but your persistence convinced us to open the door.
The door he opened revealed the wonder that is Simonas Petrus, which fits like a crown on top of a rock 800 feet above the Aegean. It was built in the 14th century, and the monks will tell you it must be considered a miracle that it hasn't fallen into the sea.
What is it with monks and like perching in the most insane places on earth? It's like you have a nice flat plane. It's like, no, we go up the sheer cliff.
Yeah,
it's probably because to dissuade people.
So this structure has been here since the 14th century. That's crazy, and it stays there. It's still there, right? Yeah, it's the only safe space for men. It's like literally where guys have to go, like just to get away from women. Because honestly, like these guys are obviously very peaceful, but they know how to say no, and they have. The guy said the last time we even had a camera crew, like journalists here, was in 1981, and they only let these guys come down because they were so persistent. And I mean, I get it. I get it. I wouldn't want journalists anywhere near me. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see if I can get to, so the door opened. Let's play some of this more. There's some really cool stuff in here.
There are 20 monasteries on Mount Athos. Some look like medieval fortresses. Others are so large they resemble small cities. They rise from virgin forests and line the coast, shrouded in mist. There's nothing on this 130 square mile peninsula other than monasteries and monks. Nothing.
Yeah, so it's not there are no hotels, no restaurants, just monasteries and monks. There's a ferry and that's it.
Not even like animal husbandry. I mean, there's obviously plants. Okay, I'm being pedantic.
Oh,
sorry.
no. The monks, I mean, we don't have to play the whole video, but I'll say the monks, they grow all their own food. Like, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to love this. Not only do they not allow women on the island, they don't even allow in certain, because there's like all these are monasteries. A lot of the monasteries don't even allow female animals. I don't know how they do it, but they don't even don't allow female animals on the island, or on the property of the monasteries.
So really, Like the question here is, I could be like, oh my God, so misogynist. But the real question to me is, what function does this serve? Why are they doing this? And why is it that this is important? Okay. Because this is a cultural tradition that's lasted 1,000 years. That's longer than most of the modern nations. Like it is longer than most modern nations. So you have to ask yourself, what purpose, what is the function of this, and why? Why is it necessary, as opposed to just getting offended at it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So the exclusion of women. So I did a little bit of digging on stuff just because I know about Mount Athos. Because it's sort of like proof, at least with Orthodox Christianity, that it's not gynocentric. Like there's a place that there's nothing like this for women in Orthodoxy. It's only for men. So the exclusion of women is often explained as a way to preserve the monks' commitment to a life of celibacy and spiritual focus, free from any potential distractions. But this restriction has been in place for centuries, and for most of that time, women have not demanded to go to the island. They are doing it like in this sort of like in the last century, or in the last like 50 or 60 years, but not before that. And the reason, honestly, is to aim to maintain a purely male monastic environment dedicated to spiritual discipline and prayer. This rule applies to all females. This includes women of all ages, from infants to the elderly, and in some interpretations, even female animals are not allowed, though this is less strictly enforced. So, so like some people on the outside have claimed that this is because the women would be distracting, but the monks they don't want to be distracted by anything. And actually they're not. Like once you enter the monastic tradition, the monks are essentially, there's this saying, just so you can see this, that there's this thing that you will hear from priests, which is pray without ceasing. So it's essentially this, the goal is to remain in a constant state of prayer. And the monks in this monastery, they do that. So like they're doing that constantly, even when some of them even do it while they're asleep, or at least this is the claim. So it's not that women would be a distraction. It's simply that they don't belong there.
Well, the other thing is that in terms of social effect, do any of these monks do any kind of service for the community, or do they go out in the community, or do they train people that go out in the community, or they just monastics?
They're just like monastics, but I think, let's see, I'm just looking to see what they do here.
But what's interesting about this is a life of meaning without women. Yes.
That's right.
And to know that there are men pursuing this, even if they don't go out and teach or minister, that must have some effect psychologically. I mean, like I said, this is men pursuing meaning in the absence of women, right? Yeah.
So essentially they do services there, and they do have they rely a lot on donations, but they specifically preserve cultural and religious artifacts, Byzantine art, including mosaics, frescoes, icons, and there are like thousands and thousands of icons. Do you guys know what an icon is?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's one right on my wall back there, like over my head. And they're basically like, they are usually on wood, or they could be, I guess, but they're usually on wood, and they're like paintings, and they're very specific. There's like they have very specific rules, so they're more than just art, but they do preserve art and manuscripts as well. Some of these are UNESCO World Heritage sites. They're historical sites, obviously. So they're not tourist sites. So it's not like you're going to a museum. That's why, like I said, their whole thing is preserving. So, and they They also they write, you know, and they perform services. Pilgrims can go. They have to be men, though. But pilgrims or people come from all over Serbia, Greece, Russia, you know, and they go there for services. They go there for divine liturgy. Sometimes they go there to be, you know, sort of like charismated or brought into the church. So it holds, they have very specific, you know, things that they do. So, okay. Anyway, so let me, do you want me to jump ahead to another bit here?
Yeah,
Actually,
sure. Jump ahead. Just summarize what you're skipping over, though, if you would.
Yeah, they're basically just talking about what they do there, the fortresses, the various, you know, buildings and such. But let's see. Oh, yeah, 450. There's something kind of interesting here about this place, too.
It's a Spartan way of life, but all the monks we talked to said they never want to leave, not even for a day. So they try to be self-sufficient. They grow their own fruits and vegetables, do their own tailoring, and when they get sick, there's an in-monastery doctor, Father Emilios, who's not very busy because the monks are in excellent shape. There's remarkably little cancer, virtually no heart disease or Alzheimer's. They must be doing something right in addition to drinking wine at 9 in the morning. They eat.
So these guys, they don't even get sick. Like they don't get, there's remarkably little cancer, virtually no heart disease, no Alzheimer's. I mean, it's almost like they're avoiding seed oils, and they grow their own food. They fish, you know, the whole thing. Okay, I got a super chow from Richard Pierre for $5. And he says, there was that one feminist retreat island where everything did have to be built by men who were promptly kicked out after the construction was completed. I don't know if it's still in operation, though. Well, if you know the name of it, you could look it up.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, of course they got men to build it.
On their own, they are just perfectly fine, almost completely autonomous. But women still, it's like that whole argument I got on Twitter with the rad femme. Well, actually, the argument started with her saying, we'll have our separatist femtopia as soon as men give it to us. Okay. So you're
exactly.
gonna ask your dread enemy to give you, to essentially turn you into basically the aristocratic class in like 17th century France. They're going to do everything for you. They're going to wipe your ass for you. And you expect me to believe that you genuinely think men are the enemy when you have these expectations for them. Bullshit.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's listen to some more of this bit. And then again, these guys are all like they're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing all the stuff that supposedly is women's work. Men don't have a problem doing it. So anyway, let's keep going.
2 meals a day. There's what they call the first meal, which lasts 10 minutes, and the second meal, which lasts 10 minutes. There's no meat and no dinner table conversation. The only sound, a monk reading from sacred texts. We were surprised by how busy the monks are. When they're not praying, they're working. Father Theodosius, born a Lutheran in Germany, is a mechanical wizard who has given the monastery continuous electricity and occasional hot water.
Many Christians in the world, they are
he even looks like the systems admin.
He looks what?
He looks like the systems admin, you know?
Yeah, right.
You know, like, God, if you've ever been to like a university and you go down to the layer of the systems admin, yes, this guy looks like it. Like him. the tropes and archetypes hold in every circumstance, I guess. Okay. I'm sorry. I just thought that was cute.
I know, it's okay. They say no meat, but the truth is some do. And they have, you know, like they fish, and I think there's chickens and stuff. So, but it depends on where, I guess, what part of the island or what part of Mount Athos you're at. So.
For the original church, you know, for the ancient church.
Do you think this is the closest to the original church?
Yes. When you come to Orthodoxy, you will see it has everything you ever sought for.
Father Averkios takes care of the ancient footpaths here. He clears the trails. We went with him on what was for us an exhausting hike on the hills above the monastery. It wasn't tough for him, though. He says that after decades of roaming the world, this is his path.
I've been to many places.
Tell me where.
From Switzerland, of course, from Sweden, Finland, Spain, Portugal, Singapore, Australia, and Texas.
Texas. How did you like Texas?
I liked very much. I liked mostly the people.
Now, with all the traveling you've done, how did you end up here?
I was searching for a way of life. I can give all of myself to that. And I think the God of Jesus is above all the others: money, lifestyle, even family.
The family.
Okay, so they basically go into like the sort of the details about the monks, but we can jump ahead here if you like. Oh yeah, one of the, well, that's getting into other stuff, because like one guy, his father died, but he didn't go to his funeral, and he's explaining that he this is like how committed they are to this, but his reasoning is that he's going to see him, later. But I want to go to where we get to the women part, because I think that's what everybody wants, right? Let's see. Okay, so jump up to 1948, so it's kind of a ways in. Okay, how about right here?
Fabric said to be part of a garment worn by the Virgin Mary. The irony is that while the Mother of God is revered here, no other woman is permitted to even set foot on Mount Athos. It's been like that for 1,000 years. The reason...
Literally 1,000 years since a woman has been there. Is that crazy to think about? Like, what? The year what? Well, we're in the year 2020, so like the year 1000 something? That's nuts, man. Just to think about that. So they are misogynistic, yes, obviously. And it's been doing just fine without women for 1,000 years. And base record, yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Actually, that's an interesting thought. Like, everything else that has women in it seems to have a max lifespan of about 250 years.
Actually, that is interesting, right? I didn't think about that. Yeah. Well,
okay.
How do they reproduce? No, people join them. That's how. Okay. Let's keep going. People can join freely, but it's not easy to become a monk. It's a lot of work. You have to. I mean, I couldn't do it. I know that for sure. I'm too earthly.
They probably have a wait list, or they have high standards, and they
have extremely high standards. Yes.
There might be like more monasteries with like the B class monks and the C class monks.
Yeah, MGTOW got to get on these guys level. That's you guys got a way to go.
Get good.
That's like epic end game content for MGTOW is to go to Mount Athos.
All right. Oh, somebody asked, I can't believe we haven't done a review on Bear Grylls, the island. Do you mean the one where Bear Grylls? Yeah. Do you mean the one where they sent the women and then they had to take the women nearly freaking died? So they had it so that what they did was they sent one woman to the men's island and one man to the woman's island. And the men initially the guy who went to the woman's island was like, Quagmire.
Yeah, giggity.
But then after a day, he was begging to go back because guess who was the automatic task? Everything.
Oh yeah, they had him doing everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah, everything. And then the woman on the men's island, of course, was perfectly happy because she got to eat and enjoy fresh water and shelter, because they were all cooperating to create those things, and there was enough of them that the fact that she sat on her ass and did nothing didn't really affect the productivity of the area, which is probably why we've never evolved to have more than half women.
Yeah.
even though supposedly women would increase the carrying capacity or ability to reproduce. I don't think they would. But regardless, I do have a thank you, by the way.
Okay.
Jamie Van gives us $100, so thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. Wow.
Wow. And if you would like to help, we now have $715 left. So you can go to feedthebadger.com/support and help us out so that next year we can do the meetup again and also continue to bring you this delectable content, which is probably better for men's mental health than the entirety of the American Psychological Association. Let's face it. I guess that's a bit of a flex, but we're probably doing more than that entire association. Probably because we're not actually saying that men's mental health would improve if they just stopped identifying as men, don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Let's keep going.
Orthodox doctrine is that Christ gave the peninsula to his mother, and all other women have been excluded so as to fully honor the Virgin Mary. It's also been said that in the day...
Yeah, I forgot that. So
before the ban,
but it's still a standard, right? It's still a standard that women had to like. It is. I think anything that has any kind of expectation or standard that women are held to is by its very nature not gynocentric. So.
Absolutely, yeah, sure, exactly. Yeah, no, Mary is revered, but only because she meets that standard. That's just it. She's not just like any woman. She's like, it's I think that what makes the most sense is like exactly when I talked to Jonathan Pajot about this years ago, and we did a fireside chat here, and I was trying to like understand, that there's a meaning outside of this story. But like if Christ himself is the let's say the example for men, okay, Mary is the example for women, and literally Mary is a lower standard than Jesus, but women are not meeting it, right? I mean, most men don't meet the Christ standard either, and that's kind of like it's intended to humble us. But yes, Mary is a step below Jesus, but Jesus loves his mother, so he gave her this island, but only a woman of her caliber could set foot there, of which none exists.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it's interesting also that's if you think about it, that's a tremendous achievement, and it comes at the cost of excluding other women. Like most achievements, the most true achievements come at the cost of excluding other women, which lies directly in the path of the sisterhood, if you think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because absolutely.
I know feminists hate Mary. They hate her.
Well, when you said no other women or not all women or whatever, I heard that song, Every Woman, and it's
I'm every woman.
No, you're not. And if you are every woman,
all in me.
Then you are an individual who achieves and is worthy of achievement. And any achievement, by definition, is going to exclude other women. Like any achievement that isn't based on just having a hoo-ha is going to exclude other women because they won't have the skills, they won't have the virtue, they won't have the talent, whatever. And this is the problem. You can't have this woman card and women's achievement at the same time. One or the other.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear the rest of this bit.
Peninsula to his mother, and all other women have been excluded so as to fully honor the Virgin Mary. It's also been said that in the days before the ban, when women did come here, the monks became distracted and couldn't devote themselves entirely to prayer. They say it's been a lot easier since the last lady left.
I like this guy's face. Right, that's what they cut to, right? It's been a lot easier since when they say the monks were distracted, I think the women were, like getting like, hey, don't pray to yourself, talk to me. What are you thinking about?
Oh man, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's just too funny. Because I think in a way, 60 Minutes wants to like, they don't ever say, you know, these guys hate women, but there is like this, they're just putting it out there to see how the audience reacts. And I think that's the way they do it. It's kind of, you know, implied. But anyway, okay, let's.
I don't think these monks hate women because that would require thinking about women, which they probably don't.
Yeah,
like
they don't.
This literally is the ideal state of a man. This is the state that they're trying to get to, not having to think about women.
Yeah, like Great Indoors said, for the last 1,000 years, it actually has been about the nail, and they just dealt with it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like this. I think this is what really gives women anxiety, is this idea that men don't revolve their life around them. You know, and it's unfortunate because, you know, when you let go of the expectation that men revolve their life around you, you can do a lot of things on your own, in your own time, in your own way. You know, it's like it's not necessary to constantly be micromanaging. You know what I mean? But this idea, if you rely on men, this is something I got into like a long time ago and just really opened my eyes. Because on Twitter, apparently I come across as a man. I don't know. I'm fine with looking androgynous because it's really an insight into how women treat men. But there was this woman who started arguing with me, and she thought it was a gotcha to say, you're not a strong enough man to be able to save me from my weaknesses. And I'm like, did you just listen to yourself there? Like, why don't you work on those weaknesses yourself? How are you insulting me with you being a loser? Like, I'm such a loser, you couldn't save me. I'm like, how is that an insult to me? And yet it works. You know, she thinks it works, and it does seem to work.
Yeah. This gets better. So I'm gonna play more of this. Is the good part. This is like the money shot. Okay.
Keeping women out certainly wasn't much of a problem 300-400 years ago. Do you feel that's becoming problematic today?
I don't think so, because the monastery itself and all the land around it is our property. And if we don't want women coming onto our property, we have every right to do that.
You see, he says no in the most nice way possible, but it's still a no at the end of the day. And so, you know, it's not going to happen. This belongs to us.
That face he has is it's like the face of knowing. Like it's so wry. You know what I mean? He's got that knowing kind of gnome look on his face. Like I know. Journo.
Okay, let's listen to some more of this.
All the land around it is our property. And if we don't want women coming onto our property, we have every right to do that.
Mount Athos may be the last all-male bastion in the world. And Father Arsenio says it has to stay that way.
Here we are concerned solely with purity and our elevation to eternity. If women are permitted, they'd bring their families and their children. This place would become a tourist attraction and no longer a place of silence.
Okay, here's the thing. This is the final boss for the feminist march through the institutions.
Yeah.
If they fall, the world is doomed. Oh, keep the flame alive.
Yep.
All right.
Well, there is this. He's gonna talk about. I kind of think this is neat because again, it's history. Like, the stuff these guys have is so old. It's just to think about that. All right.
If we wanted to experience profound silence, we're advised to go to Stavronikita. It's the smallest monastery on the Holy Mountain, but it has some of the most remarkable treasures. You stay in the silence just by walking in. There's no electricity here, so the icons and mosaics are illuminated only by shafts of sunlight and a few candles. St. Nicholas, the patron saint, John the Baptist, and the Virgin Mary. We were stunned by the magnificence of the art here, but then we ran into Father Maximus, a former professor at the Harvard Divinity School. He told us what we were seeing cannot be described as art.
They're devotional objects, and they're part of the living liturgical life of the church. So we don't have any art, and we're not a museum. I mean, to put it starkly.
Whatever you call it, it's priceless. That's why the monasteries have been invaded and plundered so many times over the centuries. The monks' most recent brush with history happened only 70 years ago.
The Germans came, and they Hitler offered to like protect the artifacts, but he wanted them moved to Germany, and they were like, nope. So they said no to Hitler. So, but yeah, you want to hear that story at all, or you want to just
hear it.
Okay?
Nazis were coming their way.
In the spring of 1941, the Germans invaded and occupied Greece.
They marched up the Acropolis, raised the swastika beside the Parthenon, and were about to invade. The monks asked for a meeting with Nazi officers who advised them to appeal to Hitler himself. And the monks wrote a letter to Hitler.
A letter was written, and in the letter the monks identified themselves. They said, this is who we are. And they asked Hitler to place the Holy Mountain under his personal protection.
What kind of response did you get?
Well, it seems that Hitler liked the idea and accepted the invitation to become the personal protector of the Holy Mountain.
Well, let me just get that straight. Hitler, the personal protector of the Holy Mountain.
That's right. That's right.
So,
man. This is why you don't let journalists into your enclave, friends.
Yeah, right.
Good Lord, they're trying to besmirch the name of these these monks.
Well, it didn't work out that way.
Okay.
So that the professors were sent an advanced team to catalog the treasures of the Holy Mountain. These are like the German academics that were sent to Mount Athos. They took 1,800 pictures of the mountain's treasures, and it wasn't because they enjoyed photography. Hitler wanted the riches in Berlin. So he was basically planning to try to get his hands on them. And it didn't happen. Not a single thing was taken. Father Maximus believes that they have the Russians to thank for that by the time the Nazi scholars completed their work, Hitler was bogged down in Russia and wasn't thinking about icons anymore. The Nazi period had been largely forgotten there. To the monks, it was just one more blip on the road, and a small one at that. So, because again, people have tried to plunder this place for a long time, and that was just the last time it happened. So, for the most part, yeah, that's basically it. I think that's basically it for the video, unless you want me to play some more or like a different section.
Sure. Just keep. How much do we have left?
About 5 minutes. 4 minutes.
Let's just play this out. Let's see. Let's see how they respond to the accusations of Nazism. I suppose.
Hitler did send a team of German academics to Mount Athos. They took 1,800 pictures of the mountain's treasures, and it wasn't because they enjoyed photography. Hitler wanted the monastery's riches in Berlin.
The professors were sent as an advance team to catalog the treasures of the Holy Mountains so that a selection of things could be made to be removed.
Didn't happen, did it?
No, it didn't. Not a single thing was taken.
Father Maximus believes they have the Russians to thank for that by the time the Nazi scholars completed their work, Hitler was bogged down in Russia and wasn't thinking about icons. That Nazi period has been largely forgotten here. To the monks, it was just one more blip on the road.
What
and a
the
small one
hell?
at that.
There was no Nazi period in this monastery.
No.
None whatsoever. What the heck are they going to resist Hitler with? Persimmons?
Myrrh.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like, 60 Minutes is, well, basically modern journalism is obsessed with World War II. Like, this could have been, they could have talked about other moments in history where there were attempts to, siege or plunder this place, but they didn't. They just wanted to talk about that. So, but it's not, it's to the monks, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like, whatever, that happened, 70 years ago. So.
Today, Vatopedi is the most popular destination on the mountain. It hosts 35,000 pilgrims a year and offers more than spiritual sustenance. The monks have their own fishing boats and the catch is pretty good. The fish are served fresher than in any Greek restaurant. The refectory dates from the 12th century, and since the 12th century, the food here has been free. Vatopedi has been supported by rich benefactors, emperors, princes, kings, and today, partially by pilgrims with deep pockets who commission icons in the making. But the ancient treasures? Not a chance. They can't even see them. They're under lock and key. It's not a new security system, but it works. Normally, it takes more than one monk to unlock the door, because no one monk is allowed to have all 4 keys at the same time. It's sort of a medieval version of the nuclear launch control.
That's kind of awesome, isn't it? Like, it's like some D&D shit. Like, you need to get all 4 keys to get into this treasure room. That's crazy.
But if you think about it, like, they do host pilgrims and they feed them, and they're all men. So this is a sanctuary for men. And it's a sanctuary run by men who are finding purpose outside of women. And that has to have a function in a society.
Yep. Well, absolutely. And the thing is, like, I think there should be spaces for men. They don't have to be like this, like to this extreme. But it seems like these guys have managed to like keep it, 100, like on their own, right? So.
Yeah.
Find the 4 monks to unlock the secret sanctuary. Yeah, right. That's funny. All right, you want to finish it off? We're almost at the end here.
Yeah, let's finish it off.
Okay.
Do you keep those keys in your pocket, Father?
Try not to.
Father Matthew from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, was given the abbot's blessing to let us into the inner sanctum. Once inside, there was still another hidden door.
Behind the curtain?
We walked into the world of Byzantium. It was hard to imagine that everything here was at least 600 years old, because the brilliance had not faded. There are almost 4,000 icons stored in this monastery alone.
Wow.
The highlight, a 14th century icon of Christ.
Yeah, that's like these are all these. They go back to the Byzantine Empire. It's kind of incredible, isn't it? Like how, and it's preserved. Like what's happening in our museums right now? Like climate activists are throwing orange paint on the Mona Lisa, or at least trying to. Like they see your sticks. Imagine if women went there. I'm just saying it's like these guys. They are doing. I don't know how else to put it. They're doing God's work, really. I mean, they're holding on to these icons. They create icons there too. That's one of the services that they provide. People go there to basically get an icon made by one of these monks. So it's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you know anything about the Byzantine Empire.
They're preserving traditions. They're living life with purpose, which incidentally, I mean, like
all the bathrooms are male bathrooms.
All the bathrooms are male bathrooms. No need to deal with the trans stuff.
No lines.
You know what's funny? If our society ends up crashing and burning as a direct result of the excesses of feminism, and I maintain that it is the excesses of feminism, this place may still be there. They may outlive feminism.
Yeah. But they probably have to go to that place in force, like literally, if they wanted to break it up. Speaking of which, well, there's a little left. You want to finish it off? And then I
think that they may outlive the societies that constructed feminism, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, let's just finish it off. It looks
okay.
Every monk will tell you the sole purpose of life on Mount Athos is to get closer to Christ every day. And they say total union with Christ is only possible when they leave this world.
Πρώτο πράγμα που κάνει ένας μοναχός είναι να αγαπήσει το θάνατο.
The first thing a monk does is embrace and love death.
Embrace and love death.
Γιατί ο θάνατος...
Because death is the ticket to the other life. Without a ticket, you can't travel.
Where do you get the ticket?
Εδώ, στη ζωή αυτή.
In this life, that's what we do each day. We prepare for death.
Για το ταξίδι μας προς τον ουρανό.
And we are joyful about our journey to heaven.
Right. Father Matthew offered to take us to the transit point between this world and heaven. When a monk dies, he's buried until there's nothing left but bones. Then he's brought to where every monk who's ever lived here ends up, the ossuary.
Any idea how many skulls there are here?
Thousands. I'm not sure how many thousands.
Any idea how far they go back?
The ones here would be to the 16th century.
When you look at the ossuary, what comes to mind?
Mostly I see that this is where I'm going to be. I always like to say these are my future roommates.
There was nowhere for us to go from there. So we headed back to the mainland. The monks invited us to come back any time. And if we do, or if our grandsons or great-grandsons do, after 10 days here, this much we believe. Mount Athos will not have changed at all.
Good.
Yeah, and I think it still hasn't. Though, I will say, there have been issues with this female restriction, although it hasn't changed. The exclusion of women has occasionally been criticized from a human rights perspective. However, Mount Athos' special status within Greece and the broader European framework allows it to maintain this tradition. Critics argue this might contravene EU laws, so the European Union, on gender equality, but the unique autonomy of Mount Athos has so far shielded it from legal challenges on that basis.
Why do women have to be everywhere?
I don't know.
Like, seriously, if there was a nunnery like this that had lasted for could you imagine men being like, "Oh, we should be there too"? Like, seriously. Well,
there was a woman who tried to sneak in dressed as a man in 1953. Maria Polimindiu, I don't know if that's how you say it right, dressed as a man to visit. It led to legal repercussions and reinforced the ban with stricter penalties. So they just double down. Yep. So anyway,
yeah.
The critic, basically what the human rights people are saying is that this is an anachronistic rule out of step with modern gender equality principles, though these critiques often come from outside the Orthodox tradition. So yeah, of course they do.
Of course they do. And I hope they hold firm, because don't people have the human right of association?
Freedom of association, yeah. Well, in places where that's actually recognized. There's nothing
women are losing by not being able to access this island. Certainly, they could create their own damn island full of monastic women somewhere else. Like, there's nothing there's no service that women are losing from this.
I mean,
there's no reason.
Nunneries exist, but like the problem is not that the problem is that I think that a lot of women just can't stand the idea that there are men somewhere having fun without them.
or maintaining a purpose without them. Like, good Lord, like, I can't even believe that I can believe that the EU would try to pressure these people to change their traditions because women should have access. And I think people need to think about this the next time conservative women complain about trans women. Like, women are trying to get access to this space constructed by men, maintained by men through their own sacrifice. And they think they have a right to it. You have no right to it. Women have no right to this space. None whatsoever. And if you think you have a right to it, you should be as far from it as humanly possible. Okay. That's my thought.
That's it. That's the video. So
Okay,
I don't know.
yeah, it
Let me
was
see if there's
very
any
informative.
super chats or anything.
Yeah,
For
I
some
don't see any
reason.
super chats. Okay, guys, you got probably a few minutes left. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip if you want to send us a comment for us to respond to really quick. And the only thank you I got, aside from the sponsor of this show, which was the Great Indoors, was Jamie Van for that 100. If you want to help out for the month, feedthebadger.com/support. I am working on paying off the rest of the meetup costs because they were a bit more than I expected. And so feedthebadger.com/support if you want to help out there. $715 to the current goal. And that's about it. Back to you, Brian. Unless
All right.
I would reload here and...
just checking to make sure. I think I got the super chows. Yeah. So, all right. That's it then. All right. If you guys like this video,
nice
please.
today. Just sweet.
Yeah. No, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys like this video, please smash like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. You'll find a link to the original in the description. If you are, if you like history, I think it's good just for that. To check out. So, and please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we will talk to you all in the next video. Oh, I should probably uncheck these and then switch to the outro.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.